Today, while many people take Social Security for granted, it's been around for a long time, let us remember, before Social Security was created in 1935, about half of our nation's seniors were living in poverty. Today, though the poverty rate is still too high for seniors, that rate is just 8.9%. 50%.
Approximately 300,000 low-income essential workers in the state of Massachusetts will receive a relief check of $500 from the administration. The checks will be mailed to eligible Massachusetts residents starting on Monday, June 6th. The Essential Employee Premium Pay Program was passed by the Massachusetts legislature and signed by the governor in December 2021 as part of the $4 billion spending plan for American Rescue Plan Act funds. The House Speaker said on Twitter the legislature was proud to establish this program through the American Rescue Plan Act, and the essential workers who worked to keep the Commonwealth running during the height of the crisis deserve nothing less. In order to receive these payments, individuals must have lived in Massachusetts on or before June 15, 2021, or they must have been a part-time resident before June 1st. Eligibility will be based on filed 2021 Massachusetts tax returns, with individuals needing to have earned at least $13,000 with their total income falling below 300% of the federal poverty level. According to the Massachusetts state website, the lower bound of this range equates to working 20 hours a week for 50 weeks at a minimum wage as of 2021. The federal poverty level is set by the federal government and increases with household or family size. A single filer can have income of no more than $38,000, and while the number goes up to $52,000 for two people, it also increases for more of those, for more people in the household. Now, individuals who received unemployment benefits in 2021 will not be eligible for the second round of payments, nor will Commonwealth Executive Branch employees who received or will receive a one-time crisis-related payment from the state as their employer. And here's some really big news. The President authorized the Defense Production Act to spur U.S. manufacturing of solar and several other forms of clean energy. The White House announced today that Biden authorized the Energy Department to use the Defense Production Act to speed up domestic manufacturing of solar panel components, energy-efficient heat pumps, building insulation, and electronic reforms needed for the power grid. The White House also announced it will leverage the power of the federal government's purse for clean energy, using federal procurement to increase U.S. solar manufacturing. The White House announced a 2-year suspension of anti-circumvention tariffs on solar panels that have effectively grounded much of the U.S. solar industry to a halt. So while a senior administration official stressed the White House is not interfering with some processes, they also defended a 2-year pause on tariffs. Finally, everybody, action is being taken to help the American people out. According to Yahoo News, the state of Vermont will send child tax credits worth up to $1,000 per child to most families with children 5 and under, becoming the latest state to step up in the face of federal inaction. The federal child tax credit was enhanced as part of 2021's American Rescue Plan.
Thanks. All right. We're going to make sure that everybody knows Exxon's profits. Why don't you tell them what Exxon's profits were this quarter? Exxon made more money than God this year. And by the way, nothing's changed. And they're not, by the way, one thing I want to say about the oil companies. They talk about how they have 9,000 permits to drill. They're not drilling. Why aren't they drilling? Because they make more money not producing more oil. The price goes up, number one. And number two, the reason they're not drilling is they're buying back their own stock. Far from one. But I know together, and I mean this, we can unite and defend this nation, Democrat and Republican. Allow no one to place a dagger at the throat of our democracy. That's what those hearings are all about. You're going to hear a lot more. I didn't get to watch them last night because I was doing other business. But I tell you what, there's a lot going on. Now look, to the reason I'm here, thank you, Sal, and thanks to Gene in the Port of Los Angeles as well. Mario, thank you for Port of Long Beach, and thank Mayor Garcetti of Los Angeles and the Mayor of Long Beach, who I expect is soon to be the Congressman of Long Beach. The way it looks like. You guys did a heck of a job when I came out here a couple years ago to try to get things moving. Everybody did, management, labor, elected leaders, as well as at the time. We also had Governor Newsom pushing hard as well. Look, we have two excellent senators, Dianne Feinstein and Alex Padilla. I tell you what, Alex, you don't look any worse for the wear, man. You're looking awful good. You're looking awful good. And Nanette, I think you've always looked good, particularly compared to these guys, you know what I mean? And me. But seriously, thank you, Nanette, for the fire you bring. You bring some fire to this. I really mean it. It's in your heart. And Alan Lowenthal has been working on this for a long time. Alan and I just had a little meeting together. We got to change it, Alan. We can't give up. We got to turn this corner. And John, I can't thank you. You're the real deal. Anybody, I won't get into getting you in trouble, but thanks for sticking up for me. And look, and we have a labor secretary that I'm his translator. He's Marty Walsh from Boston. And but if you understand, only thing you got to know, he always has your back. He always has your back. I had an uncle who used to say, Joey, you're labor from belt buckle to shoe sole. Well, he's labor from forehead to the tip of his toes. He used to run the laborers out union. Look, folks, today I'd like to speak about my top economic priority, fighting inflation. I understand Americans are anxious, and they're anxious for good reason. I was raised in a household when the price of gasoline rose precipitously.
Roger, it's great to have you, especially on a day like today. Welcome.
Thank you.
I think that my key question is, how is the Fed likely to view this report? Are they likely to look at it and say, okay, we're going to stay on our current path, or we need to do more?
I think what they're likely to do is see this, as you indicated in the opening, as being inflation across the board, higher than expected. Some might see signs of peaking, but I think it's too early to call that. My expectation is that they will do 50 next week as signaled, but I think the tone around that is going to be leaning towards a bit more hawkish. I suspect when we get to the press conference, the possibility of 75 being on the table in the future will be talked about. And so I think next week it's the 50 that's been broadcast. After that, I think the risk, so to speak, is to maybe an extra 50 or two more than the market's priced in, and possibly a 75 if called for. And I think that will be the signaling the next time they have a chance to speak to us.
Well, in terms of expectations, one thing this report did was it sort of knocked out the idea that they would pause in September, as was indicated by Raphael Bostic, the Atlanta Fed president. So now there's 50, 50, 50 priced in June, July, September. Roger, but is there merit to a pause? Because is there a risk here that we could get into a stagflationary environment where growth does slow pretty substantially and we still have these higher inflation